We're back with more EDH gameplay. Today Mark's running Saskia the Unyielding, looking to gain extra mileage on his attacks when his commander is out. I'm playing my Primal Surge all permanence Dragon deck, hoping to pump out as many dragons each turn, or win with a simple Primal Surge. Ruben is back with the fearsome Etali Primal Conqueror, possibly looking for an infect kill but will definitely play our cards. And last up is Mike with his Yuriko extra turns build, gaining massive value from swinging with small yet evasive creatures. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and consider using our TCG player affiliate link below. Without making you wait any longer, Mark wins a die roll and starts us off.
So who's going first?
Mark, go, draw.
Mark starts the game off with an Arid Mesa, taking 1 damage to crack it and finding a Tri-land, passing the turn. I draw, and similar to Mark, I play a fetch land to get a Steam Vents to the field tapped, taking 1 life. Ruben draws and plays a command tower, passing. Mike draws, plays an island, and passes the turn. For turn 2, Mark starts off by missing a land drop, but he makes up for it by casting a Soul Ring. I draw, play another fetch land, and pay another 1 life to get an Overgrown Tomb tapped. Ruben draws and plays a Gruul Turf, bouncing his land and having to discard down to 7. Mike draws, and he very sadly just passes the turn. Turn 3, Mark untaps and gets lucky with a Temple of Silence on the top of his deck. He plays it and gets a Scry 1, but he rushed that land to the field as he realized he should have played it after casting his Nature's Lore.
The shrine. I need a forest. Get it.
He searched for a forest and gets an Overgrown Tomb untapped, taking 2 damage and uses his extra 1 floating mana to cast Demonic Tutor. I draw, play a mountain, and then cast Rizev of the Claw. I pass. Ruben draws, plays his command tower, and passes. Mike untaps, draws, and plays his newly drawn Brainstorm. He gets to draw 3 cards and then puts 2 on top. Mike plays a swamp and then casts what I think is a Cloud of Fairies, untapping his 2 lands and passing the turn. Mark untaps and casts a Savala Explorer Returned. He passes. I untap and draw. I drop down a Cavern of Souls naming dragons and then cast a Domri Anarch of Bolas, making my creatures extra uncounterable. I uptick the Planeswalker to make a mana, and then use it along with my Rizev and the cost reduction for my Dragon to drop a scary Terror of the Peaks. I pass the turn. Ruben untaps, draws, and plays a mountain and passes. Mike draws and moves directly to combat.
Going to combat.
I got a flyer.
Ruben's in. Ruben's open.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm up.
What?
Attacking Ruben.
There you go.
1/1 flyer.
Yep.
Psych. It's Yuriko.
Yep.
Psych. I forgot you do that.
He swings at Ruben, but psych, he ninjutsus his commander in. Ruben takes the 1 damage from Yuriko, and Mike flips a huge Blightsteel Colossus. Mike moves to his end step, discarding the Blightsteel and shuffling it back into his library. For turn 5, Mark untaps and draws. He activates Savala, having us all reveal the top card of our library and putting those cards to our hand. Mark gets to make 3 green mana while gaining 3 life. He follows up with the Sarkhan Goreclaw. He passes. I untap and draw. I play another fetch land and take 1 to crack it. I then take another 2 damage to have the Sacred Foundry I found come into play untapped. I then uptick my Domri to make mana to cast a Jodah the Unifier, pumping my legendary creatures for each legendary creature I have. On ETB, I have Jodah deal 7 damage to Mark Sarkhan Goreclaw from the Terror of the Peaks trigger. Moving to combat, I swing a total of 12 damage to Mike. On my end step, Ruben cast a big score, discarding a card to draw some cards and make a treasure. We move to his turn and he drops a forest and then quickly casts his commander, Etali Primal Conqueror. We all reveal until we hit a non-land for Ruben to cast.
Oh! Mike, what are you doing? Mike!
Mark gives Ruben a Shadow Sphere, I give him a Scourge of Valkis, Ruben gets a Thrill of Possibility from his own deck, and Mike gives him a huge Blightsteel Colossus that he literally just discarded. When the Scourge enters, it hits my Planeswalker for 1 damage. Mike untaps and plays a tapped Halimar Depths, getting to rearrange the top 3 cards of his deck. He recasts his Cloud of Fairies, untapping 2 lands. He moves to combat and hits Mark for 1 damage. Off the top, he reveals Network Disruptor, dealing 1 damage to us all and then casting it. On the ETB, he taps Ruben's Flying Dragon and passes. We move to turn 6, and Mark again activates his Zavala. We all parlay, letting Mark gain 3 life and get 3 green mana. Mark then casts Helana and Elena Partners. He follows up with an Adeline Resplendent Cathar. He moves to combat and gives his Adeline 2 counters and haste from Halana and Elena. He swings the Adeline at me and makes a 1-1 soldier swinging at each of us. Ruben and I both block the 1-1, but I still take 8 damage from the Adeline attack, and Mike takes 1. After damage, Mark passes. I draw for turn. I use my Domri to make a mana and play an Ancient Tomb as my land for turn. I use the mana, taking 2 damage from the tomb, to cast a Hellkite Courser. On ETB, it deals 7 damage to Mark and brings in the Dragon. When the Dragon enters, it deals another 11 damage to Mark. That 11 damage actually should have been 14 because of my Joda, but I missed the extra buff. I then use my Rizav to help cast a 2-headed Hellkite. It enters, and I have it deal 6 damage to my Scourge of Valkis that Ruben controls. I move to combat and swing at Ruben with 3 dragons. I have 2 attack triggers, drawing 2 kites from the Hellkite and then another 3 from the Dragon. I put Rith Liberated Primeval onto the battlefield from the Dragon's trigger. On ETB, I deal 10 damage to Ruben from the Tear of the Peaks. Moving to damage, Ruben has no flyers and dies on the hit.
Good choice, Frank. I could have unblockable. It's going to you. Good choice. That was good. It was about to be unblockable.
I move to pass a turn and create a 4/4 dragon since I did deal excess damage to one of Ruben's creatures. When it enters, I throw another 5 damage to Mike's 1/1 flyer. Mike untaps and draws. He plays an island. He moves to combat.
No, I don't want to cast that.
Mark, let.
No, I'm not. No, I don't trust you, dude. There's no way. No.
I didn't even. I'm top decking. I don't know what's on there.
Me neither. I don't know.
Bro,
You get double swing and then one's gonna go through. Just pray that you're not gonna die.
Tapping 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna psych it.
Hey, bro.
Oh.
Mike, I'll let it go, bro. You should have told me. You should have told me.
There was a lot of political talks going on, but what ends up happening is Mike bounces Mark's blocker with Cyclonic Rift, hoping to hit big on his Yuriko trigger to sneak in a win.
Tapping 2. I'm a ninjutsu.
Alright.
On the attack, when no blockers are declared, Mike ninjutsus in a Ninja of the Deep Hours. Mark takes a total of 3 damage, and Mike has 2 ninja triggers. He opts to draw first, and then reveals the top 2 cards for Yuriko. He deals an additional 3 damage to us and passes the turn. Mark draws for turn 7. He activates Selvala, making 2 mana and gaining 2 life. He pays 4 mana to cast a Whip of Erebos.
Is this in my hand?
Yes, you have.
Counter.
You weren't gonna die or anything.
Dude, still. You pay
Alright.
a lot
Whip of Erebos is gone.
exile.
Mike responds by exiling a blue card and paying a life to cast a Force of Will, countering Mark's whip. Mark moves to combat and decides to swing a total of 8 damage at Mike. He passes. I untap and draw, somehow having my whole board state. I uptick my Planeswalker and use Rizev's passive to cast my Scourge of Valkis from the graveyard. When it enters, it has 2 ETB effects. I target to deal 5 damage to Mike and 7 damage to Mark, but Mark responds with a Teferi's Protection.
Bro.
Counter.
Go
Mike responds by casting a Fierce Guardianship, a counterspell that Mark gave him when activating his Zavala. Mark's Teferi is countered, and Mike lets me swing in for lethal.
That's it. That was so.
Like, I think you would have won because I would have swung out.
Dragon again proves just how dominant it can be, even with a strong restriction to the deck. Everyone was throwing around big damage this game, and honestly, it could have gone either way. If you enjoy the dragons, you can check out a video of the deck on the channel, or simply subscribe to see more EDH content.